Hi guys, welcome to another video. This is gonna be a more off-the-cuff video, and just in case you're wondering, no, I'm not actually doing this at night. It's just that the lighting from the window was really ruining like the entire fucking shot. Like the light was covering my face. So, yeah, as you can see, the sun is shining in more ways than I'd like. So I had to cover it with a blanket. But what I want to do for this video today is go more off the cuff and kind of try to do everything in one go. Which is going to be a lot harder for me than maybe some other people out there. But today I'm going to respond to a video that I've done a while ago about the GameStop Transgender. An incident that you're maybe familiar with. It happened in 2019 where a transgender woman who goes by Tiffany Moore went to the GameStop to return a game that she had bought for her son. But when she got there, she repeatedly got misgendered, and then that triggered like a lot of dysphoria, and she kind of just couldn't really keep her composure much anymore. So she lashed out at the old lady and the employee, who I think was misgendering her. I mean, that's what she said, but I'm not sure. The person only started recording about a certain time, so it's important with like these viral videos to keep in mind that you never really have the full story. But basically that went viral and it became a meme, like her screaming in a very manly voice, "It is man," and then she got ridiculed by the whole internet. And I basically decided to jump on that bandwagon and dogpile her as well with my friend Danny. Number one is because I don't agree with that video anymore that I made. It's not really that I disagree with some of the things I said, because the things that I said were pretty milquetoast, in my humble opinion at least. It's just the sentiment behind the video and like my stance on the whole issue has changed pretty drastically over the couple months as I've matured more. So, a little bit of background behind this video. Let me tell you something about the story. Yes, it is true that at the time that I made this video, I was a lot less progressive. I wouldn't say I was actually transphobic. I'm not even sure if I was like trans-medicalist, but I kind of have the sneaking unfortunate suspicion that I was. One thing that I know for sure is that I was pretty NB-phobic, but that's a story for another time. I don't think I made this video because I wanted to be transphobic. It's more just the fact that I wanted to do a podcast with my friend Danny, who has always had a very busy schedule, and like has always been very hard communicating with him. And I wanted to have some videos that we could laugh at. I mean, I only chose one, but like I wanted something that we could both like kind of find common ground on to laugh at. And I guess because I already saw this video being made fun of, I thought, why not choose this? A lot of the things in the video were just easy bait. They were easy to make fun of. It didn't have very much to do with my actual opinion towards the video. It's just what I wanted to get out there fast, if that makes any sense. But that's enough of me yammering on. Right now I just want to react to the whole video off the cuff, so you can get my complete natural reaction. Of course there are going to be cuts because there are going to be silences, and it's going to be parts where I'm talking and I stop mid-sentence, because like I said, it takes a lot longer for me to get to what I want to say. If I'm alone, at least. If I'm talking to another person, it's a lot easier, but when I'm alone here talking to a camera, it's a little harder. But nonetheless, I still think it's important for me to give you guys the updated version of my opinion on this situation. So let's do it.
You started the first video.
I'm gonna search it. I can in the meanwhile I can tell you about the video. It's have you heard about transgender at GameStop?
Yeah, I did. Yes, ready when you...
It fucking got out. Maybe the microphone was sensitive or something.
It is man! That's not man, he doesn't look like one.
Okay, this is already where me and Danny clashed. Like Danny didn't want to call her by her she her pronouns, and I did because I wanted to be respectful. This was already like a pretty stupid take from Danny. Again, I mainly want to criticize myself. I mean, normally you wouldn't really agree that judging someone based on appearance is okay. I mean, maybe for a joke or something. I guess my point is basing on whether you would call someone by their preferred pronouns based on how feminine or how masculine they look is kind of a dumb take, because there are plenty of cis people, and yes, I'm gonna say cis people because surprise surprise, it's actually not a slur, it's a widely recognized word that actually refers to something, and that we actually need to distinguish between transgender people and not transgender people, aka cis people. There are plenty of cis people that don't look like the gender that they were assigned at birth, like the gender that people associate with their sex. And you wouldn't misgender them based on their appearance, right? Because a lot of the reasons why they may not look like the gender that they identify as are because of reasons that are out of their control, like genetics, for example. What if someone, for example, is unable to grow any kind of facial hair? They have like a really smooth face, and it's like the skin is very smooth too. Would you say that? Would you call that person based on that? And let's just say that a lot of other characteristics of that person look pretty feminine as well, like this man. This is a man that we're talking about in this hypothetical. Like he has like long hair and is like kind of skinny, doesn't really have like a V-shaped build or like broad shoulders. Would you call that person by she her pronouns just on the basis of how he looks? No, of course you wouldn't, because they're still a man. Because it's all superficial. That would make you superficial, right? Now you may say, well, there are other factors about their appearance that are in their control, like having long hair. That person can cut his hair to make himself appear more like the gender that they identify with. But should that person really have to change his appearance because of what you think of him? No. That if someone said that to you, you'd obviously tell them to go fuck themselves, right? Yeah, so I feel like it's the same with trans people, because a lot of the reasons that they don't pass is also because of factors that are completely out of their control. Like, for example, accepting parents. If you don't have accepting parents, if your parents are like actual transphobes, and you're in a household of a family that doesn't respect you as the gender that you identify with, if they even let you stay in the house, because a lot of times trans people actually get kicked out after they come out as trans. Yeah, then you can't transition, because that costs money, and there's no way that your parents are gonna pay for that. So you're gonna have to wait for as to when you're a grown up, and then you've already gone through puberty. So then it's a lot harder. Or maybe they started just transitioning because they just found out they were trans and are in the process of altering their appearance to make themselves appear more like the gender that they more identify with. But they just begun, so a lot of the things that they're doing aren't really making themselves actually pass, because they just begun. That would also be a factor out of their control, because they can't decide when they start questioning their gender. That's more to do with outside factors. That's why I think it's important to let kids know that it's okay to experiment and really think about your gender identity, and not let society influence who you are. And also, it just really, really doesn't matter. I just want to stress again. Like, if someone has a problem with your appearance, like, that's really a them problem. If you think it's funny to make fun of people's appearances, like, I'm not here to hate on you. I'm pretty sure I did that myself in like multiple videos. But like, it's definitely not, their appearance is definitely not a problem with them. That's a problem that they face because of people that have a problem themselves. What happened when we come to this, I don't think they should just call her sir. They can just call her ma'am. But the problem was that the cashier said guys, and she got mad about that. Guys is a general term. Even if there's a bunch of girls, you just say guys, come on, guys. This is just straight up wrong. We saw an older lady in the video who was calling her by by he him pronouns. Like, and she continued doing that even after she told her to stop. So that's not really her biggest reason. It may be one of her reasons, and once again, we don't know if the cashier actually said, guys, remember, the person who was filming only started filming about a certain point. We didn't see the full story. So to blindly assume that is pretty irresponsible, because you walk a risk of spreading misinformation.
And if you look at her, she does look like a man.
Oh god, it doesn't matter.
I think I made a drawing that, but I left it at my work.
Good. What I'm saying here actually happened. I did make like a drawing of Tiffany Moore because I was really into drawing and like meme drawings of like things that went viral, like viral incidents basically. And I'm pretty glad that I left it at my workplace because it was kind of gross. It's like I like over exaggerated all the masculine features of her, and like it's just wrong in my opinion, and I don't feel comfortable with it. So I'm glad I left it there and never picked it up.
This person has like the strongest, manliest jawline ever.
What the fuck? Who cares? I can show you plenty of like examples of cis girls with strong jawlines. I'm pretty sure that's actually kind of found attractive on girls as well as guys to have like strong jawlines, because girls with like weak chins, they're not really being like idolized. They're not being put in magazines. So like when people say that like having a strong jawline is a manly thing, I'm just like, oh, what the fuck? Like sure, there are like jawlines that are like, sure, there are kinds of strong jawlines, certain kinds that you mainly see on men and associate with men. But like, this idea that it even matters. I mean, she was probably just born with one. Not that she came out of the womb with like a fucking Jocko Willink jawline. It's just that that's how it developed. Your jawline develops through your breathing, not because of how manly you are. It has nothing to do with that.
If the quality wasn't so bad, you could see hair on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just a really bony, strong male face with.
I'm like really fucking obsessed with like her jawline. Like, am I jealous or some shit? Like, fuck, I wish I had that. It's so cringy.
Went into the store to buy her son a game. Yes, she has a son, and that didn't come out of her, but her ex-wife when she was a man, basically. So
it's way too difficult, but yes.
It's not difficult at all. A married man who had been struggling with his gender identity. I'm gonna say his and him, like, for the sake of this, for my argument. But like a married man who was like struggling with his gender identity, who had a sexual preference towards women and married a woman. She probably repressed a lot of her gender dysphoria, if she has gender dysphoria. It's entirely possible that she didn't, because you don't have to have dysphoria to be transgender. To put it in a very simple way, because it is very simple, a married man who was struggling with his gender identity married a woman and had kids with that woman, and then only later in life realized that she wasn't really a man, and so she transitioned to being a woman. But she still has like an ex-wife and like a child. I really don't get what's so hard about it.
I don't think she should scream at this old lady. It is ma'am. You can just calmly say, I'd prefer if you said ma'am. It is ma'am. No one's gonna listen to you when you yell at them.
Yeah, well, no one's gonna listen to you when you misgender someone either. Why am I so keen on protecting this poor old lady who could have easily just switched to using she, her pronouns? But I guess it's just her fucking ego that's made it so she couldn't swallow her pride. It's quite sad and pretty immature, if I'm being quite honest.
No, man. You have to stay calm.
Yeah. Wait, did you just say nah, man? It is man.
I wanna die!
Is this gonna get memes or not?
It already has. Just look it up. Transgender GameStop memes. It's obviously He-Man, that superhero.
It really wasn't that good, by the way. There were like a lot of memes about this trans woman situation, and like I'm not saying you can't make jokes about trans people. Just make sure they're original and funny, because this maybe when it started it was original, but it really went to the most unoriginal shit ever. It was so fucking predictable. Like, let's be honest. It was, you know what's gonna happen. It's just gonna replace some fucking famous franchise or famous name, famous cultural references that had man in it, and replace it with ma'am. Like, you know exactly what the joke is gonna be. But it's just that no one's laughing at it. They're just a bunch of chuds. They're jerking themselves off to it. It really isn't much better than the fucking helicopter joke.
There were also memes with superheroes instead of what they put their face on superheroes instead of Superman, Superman.
Yeah, it replaced man with ma'am. We already know what it's gonna be. Like, why are you explaining this?
Aquaman, Aquaman.
I think we get it.
Lots of people have made fun of the woman for her outburst. Others say she did the right thing by defending her gender identity.
So here's my take on it, because my take has changed, and that was my primal motivation for making this video. Do I think she was justified in defending her gender identity? Well, honestly, what it boils down to, yes. Like, transgender people should probably defend their gender identity. I do think that. Now, you may say that she was in the wrong for her outburst. That's civility politics, which could be good, but not in this situation. Because dysphoria can have a huge, a huge impact on, like, your emotional state. And at this point, like, what's civil? Because I thought being civil, because I thought that calling someone by their correct pronouns, by their preferred pronouns, even if you don't agree with it, would maybe not be correct from your point of view, but at least it would be fucking respectful, at least it would be polite in the moment. I feel like people's problem wasn't with her not being civil or her being rude, it was with her being loud. Because the old lady was being rude too. She was calling her sir the whole time, but just because she wasn't screaming like, hey man, it's all of a sudden not a problem. Gender is a social construct. It exists as much as we give it credit to. It's depending on like the roles and expectations that we place on young boys and men and young girls and women. And these roles and expectations determine how we view each other, but they're not the end all be all. Like, you can't just place those expectations on someone who you think looks like a man. Oh, but Chauptphey, she has, that's like male genitalia. Yeah, and like we're talking about like civility. I think it's honestly kind of creepy that so many people focus on transgender people's genitals. Like you do realize it's fucking weird, right? It's creepy. We live in a society, and I know it's a fucking meme, but like, we truly do live in a society that really frowns upon nudity, and like, like, you can't just take all your clothes off and start walking on down the street completely naked. You'll get arrested because it's taboo. But for some reason, nudity and like people's genitals, all of a sudden it's not invasive to all of a sudden start bringing that up as like a serious subject and treat someone a certain way based on that. All of a sudden that's not weird when we're talking about trans people.
She also doesn't really talk like a woman. Like, yeah, I was very sad that the person didn't call me by my preferred pronoun.
I'm gonna stress again, there are cis girls with deep voices. Have you ever tried like speaking like the opposite gender, like the stereotypical like high-pitched version of like a girl? Like, it's pretty tiring. I'm pretty sure there are like videos on like how to sound as a girl and how you have to like push your Adam's apple away. Like, that shit is fucking tiring. I would really want to hold anyone to that standard, like that they have to do that all the time. Yeah, because then you're gonna get taken seriously.
To her. She's using her newfound viral fame to raise awareness about the transgender community, and she even wrote a song to get her message out there.
Ma'am. The rappers aren't really down with this social justice business, I think. Only when it comes to race.
Like, let's be honest, it's easy to make fun of transgender people. That's why I chose this video, because it really requires no effort. There is like a man in a dress that's very good to make fun of, thanks to the stigmatization of like the media. I think a lot of the reasons why people don't support trans rights, but they do support civil rights, or like Black Lives Matter, they should be supporting both, because both communities are like marginalized. A lot of the reasons why one is supported and the other one isn't is because it's just not cool. Trans people just aren't cool to other people, and that's basically what they base it off of, aesthetic, and that is some liberal shit. Like, let's be honest, those are some key characteristics of liberals. So if you want to trigger the lip tarts, if you don't want to be one of those lip tarts, I recommend you stop going off of aesthetic and actually like become a supporter of trans rights, I guess. Because I really don't care if like a trans person looks like this. I would still support them. It doesn't influence my opinion of them in any way.
A whole lot better. But you know what? I look back at it, if I could, I wouldn't change a single thing. I would do it 100,000 times again. I would kick over that display 100,000 times again, because my actions were justified. I mean, it was blatant and malicious.
My actions are justified.
No, they weren't.
Whether or not her actions were justified, it obviously varies from perspective, from like person to person. But again, you could say that about literally anything. Whether her actions were justified, whether her actions were yelling and kicking things, I don't know, but it really doesn't matter to me, because what matters is like the sentiment and the arguments being made. I want to be able to look past the superficial shit, and I can totally see why she would think that her actions were justified, because her being misgendered obviously put her in like a lot of distress, because this is actually some of the symptoms that like trans people with dysphoria face as a result of having dysphoria. Like, I know the whole trigger thing is like a meme, but like, you wouldn't make fun of like a soldier with PTSD who gets triggered from hearing gunshots, right? You wouldn't go point at him and be like, oh, he's acting irrational. Like, yeah, no shit. He's suffering from like a mental condition that you have the privilege to not have. Why wouldn't you afford that same respect to trans people? And you can say that having PTSD is like way worse than having dysphoria, but I think for that you actually have to have dysphoria. And even then, like, dysphoria, just like PTSD, can vary from person to person.
I got nothing against the trans community. I got something against yelling at people when you can calmly explain them what you want.
What a fucking liar, dude. What a Weasley little liar, dude. I just want to clarify, to be serious, I don't actually think I'm lying. That was just for comedic relief. And I thought I'd clarify, unlike old me, who made jokes that I at the time didn't even believe in, but just ran with to make it more funny. But the thing is, I don't think I had something against the trans community. It's just that I didn't afford them the same respect, or at least the respect that they deserved. Like, I was just ignorant, and I prided myself on my own ignorance.
I got something against yelling at people when you can calmly explain them what you want.
Yeah, that would have been the preferable outcome, but that didn't happen. Like, you can say, like, to the fucking veterans that who killed the Nazis in World War II, like, I'm not against freedom and anti-fascism. I'm just against shooting people. Like, yes, the preferable outcome would be one where we don't shoot people. But, like, I know this is an over-exaggerated example, but it's an example nonetheless. And I'm not gonna sit there and think of the perfectly constructed example, because this still proves my point. And my point basically is, we would all like to say what we would have done in the moment, but at the end of the day, we are not that person. Not that that makes like bad actions okay or something, but like in the moment, it just happens, you know? After years and years of potential misgendering, I don't know if that was with her case, maybe it was just getting to her, and at one point you kind of just want to say like no more, like you just get sick of it. And I think that could have perfectly been the case here.
This one is just making trans people look bad, so...
That tiring old argument. You're making trans people look bad. You should have thought about that before existing and being a person. But that was basically my whole thoughts on this video. I really just want to get it out there, and I want to give my most natural response to it. But yeah, I'll see you guys then. Shalas.